Hey everyone. So, wanted to touch base with you on something. I'm not sure really how to start this segment, so just bear with me. Being a queer person during the holidays is kind of fucking cringe. And a lot of it weird, and I'm not sure where to go with this at the beginning, but I guess we'll just kind of riff. You and I talked about this beforehand. I guess, what were your thoughts about this idea? Because I have my own, I wanted to see where you're at.
Well, if I remember before, we were just kind of talking about some of our trauma in general. Like, both Jess and I, we're each other's family. Like, we're definitely on the found family side of things. Yeah. Yeah, I guess go somewhere and I'll hop in.
Yeah, okay. So, my issue is that in queer circles, this is something we kind of take for granted, but I think it's something really important, and that is the way in which we deal with our trauma that comes from dealing with cis het folks is really, really magnified during the holidays. That is, if you're a person who has trauma around family or something like, trauma around trust issues or abandonment, the holidays, instead of being a time of togetherness for some folks, are just intense and difficult for some reason. And I guess what I want to kind of talk about just for a few minutes is this idea of maybe how to navigate that or how to explore that. Because I guess for me and Zena, the thing that's been really interesting is kind of bringing back holidays meaning and not just getting stuck in either the we don't do anything or the we just go on autopilot. Oh, Chestburster, I'm sorry, your holiday's been lonely. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You should come on the server more and watch movies with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was the main idea you said? Say it again for my brain.
How trauma is exacerbated by the holidays and how to navigate that without going into one of two extremes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and being queer puts me on a completely different... It's not a completely different track, but we talk about... What's the other? Life stages seem to happen in a very different order for queer people than their cis counterparts do as well, right? The rate at which you are able to, move out or have kids or get married, especially with trans everything, second puberty is kind of a thing if you're going to be doing like hormonal transitioning or like this feeling that you didn't really get to experience, childhood as the gender, you feel yourself to be, right? In that moment, but you have got a past holiday where you probably got treated very differently. Growing up, I definitely got pigeonholed into the girl role a lot. I got clothes a lot. My siblings did not. They would get toys or things that they could actively like play with or do something with, and I was like, somebody got me a fancy, cute top that I could only wear at like special occasions. Or mine was always the odd color out. No one ever asked what color I liked, but I would just get the different one from my two brothers, even though I really just wanted the same fucking color. There's a lot of things like that, or even just like, hey, I want a guitar. Like, sure enough, didn't get one. Because my opinion wasn't taken seriously. What I genuinely wanted wasn't taken seriously. I really would have liked guitar and lessons. Of course, they didn't give me lessons. Fuck if I knew how to learn an instrument at like 13 with no training. Like, goddamn. Why would a 13-year-old know that? But sure enough, it was my siblings. Like, no, they got a lot of help doing extra things like that. Right? They got to do all their stuff with computers or scouting. They got to do a lot more stuff than I did. And so like a lot of this stuff was just family seeing me as a girl, as the wrong gender the entire time and treating me very differently, in a sexist way. And so Christmas didn't really have meanings. And I guess as an adult, like I'm very much in a place where I really like receiving gifts. I like that a lot because it is foreign to me to have somebody put so much care and effort into genuinely trying to see me and get me something that they think I will genuinely care about. So I think that's one of the things that I noticed around the holidays. And I used to like doing Secret Santa, but Reddit is sadly doing their last year with it. But I like that's kind of the way that I kind of deal with it, I guess, is Secret Santa is one of the ways. So
Well, and part of it for me is that I'm really bad at gift giving because my mind is very utilitarian in this way. It's that if I want something, I get it or I save for it. And so the thing is that I don't really think about like someone getting that gift for me, or I don't really think about like, hey, I saw this thing and, this thing will, be really great for this person. Like because of ADHD, I don't really pick up on those cues when someone's like, hey, I really like this thing, kind of hint, hint. Part of the thing is that I think the reason why I never developed that skill was because I think in my own personal family of origin, I just was sort of expected to receive gifts. I actually remember this being an issue with a girlfriend when I was a teenager. I went to a white elephant that I didn't know I was going to, and I got yelled at for not bringing a gift for the people I was supposed to bring gifts for because I didn't know. I didn't remember that this was what that is, because I don't think I knew what a white elephant was. Poor kid. And in the same way, like, I don't think I got my mom a lot of gifts. I don't think I did. It's weird because, like, I have two different memories of my childhood. One of them is me being exceedingly poor, which is true. And the other one is being somewhat spoiled, which is also kind of true. My mom had a tendency to really go out of her way to get stuff, even if, like, she had to kind of do sideways things to get stuff. Like, I remember I got my beanbag because they stole it out of a MSU, what was it? Back when I lived back there. Yeah. Yeah, I won't go any further. But they stole it out of a university bin. Let me put it that way. So of course they cleaned it off, wiped it down, and then I suddenly had a new what it felt like a new
to you.
Well, yeah, it was a new beanbag, but it was new in the sense except for the one big piece of large duct tape that was holding it together. And that was kind of the thing. Like, dumpster diving was the thing that I think my family did several times. I remember getting things through a lot of layaway back when that was a thing. And honestly, for me, even going to extended family was hard because I would get things, but I really wouldn't know these people. They were a lot of hyper-masculine types who I really didn't get along with, didn't really want to play with. I would have been fine just sitting in my cousin's room playing with toys because, one, I was a closeted trans girl. I had no fucking clue. And two, there was nothing safe about that environment to ever let me discover that about myself because it was just reinforced masculinity, which I was bad at. Even when I pushed against it and was like wearing like chokers and like ring collars and like a whole bunch of other crazy shit, like I didn't know how to break out of that. So for me, when I cut away from family and then my wife passed away, I kind of had to just figure out what these things looked like. And usually it was just going off of what partners had, like how I interacted with their family, right? And it was weird. It was really weird because I'd go to these different family functions and they'd have all this meaning for them and it would just be empty to me. So holidays are really rough in that regard for me because not only just being queer, but also just they never had any kind of real oomph to them. Even though I think I wanted them to.
Yeah, no. That makes a lot of sense. I really like holidays. Where am I gonna go with this? My brain split off into like 3 different things because I'm still kind of sick feeling. Oh yeah. Holidays, cooking. I really like cooking. I really like food. The way that like the Blood family did it wasn't great though. They would make the same meal for Thanksgiving and then like leave my, immediate family with the leftovers for several weeks. They do that at Thanksgiving, and then we see them again on Christmas, and they did the same thing all over again. And it sucked. But anyways, so there's a lot of sexism in my family. At least I say family, quote quote here. Okay, the extended family. That no, if you were a woman at certain points, like when you were old enough, you were probably going to be making food in the kitchen. They super did that.
See, and I just remember being shooed from the kitchen and being like, but I want the food.
They got people to help a little bit later, but it was still like, nah, like the kids were okay to help, but not once you were like adult enough, like, and you were a boy that was adult enough, you just weren't asked for help. It was weird. Was
it like the boy thing where like, once you're a man, you get to go sit with the other men and talk about things and drink beer?
No one, maybe people might have been drinking beer, but probably they were talking about.
See, that's what happened in my family. All the guys would go off to one corner and start having conversations, and whether their wives were involved or not was fine, I guess.
I gotta be honest though, like, I did cut off from my family. I really did. And with good reason. Things were getting pretty violent at various points, and I was like, nope, you're not even worth going back for. Not even a little bit. And so having had to do that, it is really weird to be like around a lot of queer people for the holidays, because some people are like, yeah, no, I'm totally doing my own thing. And there's other people that are like, I am going back to my family to see them despite knowing how awfully and horrific they are going to treat me now. And they have not changed. They have not tried ever. And I just want
to But I feel compelled to, like someone is dominating me.
Or there's one person that I want to see who I like. And I'm like, okay, but couldn't you just like go talk to that one person and like have a relationship with just that one person and like not put yourself through the horrifying shit that you're gonna put yourself through? So yeah, it's really weird to see that stuff. And I get it. It took me a lot to cut off from my extended family. Super, super did. Yeah. Very Rona's got something. Holidays for me was set up the tree by yourself, set the table by yourself, pretend to be happy with the socks given to you by the grandma who grabs you by the neck and screams in your ear, aren't the holidays nice?
Ow.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All I got for the holidays was this terrible personality disorder. So physical violence wasn't an issue in my family. There's actually a segment that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I didn't know how it would go over with you guys. And it was going to be all the things that Jess could be potentially canceled for. I literally wanted to do that segment. And one of the things I was going to bring up is that I come from a family that has very significant trauma around sexual abuse. And Content warning.
Yep.
And so for me, none of that stuff was really going on when we were doing like the Christmas family and get-togethers and all that. A lot of the people that were sort of the actors were kind of taken out of the situation. To me, the problem with holidays was always that like a lot of things weren't said. It always felt like there was underlying things that I wasn't aware of, where like I remember leaving Christmas at my uncle's house and like my mom crying because unbeknownst to me, they had spent the entire night talking shit to my mom. Calling her overweight, calling her this, that, the other thing. And so, like, for me, there's this thing of, like, on the one hand, there's all this crazy shit that happened in the background that's not really ever discussed. And then there's all this stuff that is in the foreground that's kind of awful. And so the problem is that Holiday never had any really, like, a really deep set for me, even though I really like the Christmas aesthetic. As much as we've been doing Spooky Month and all that stuff, I like Christmas. I like putting up a tree. I like doing that stuff. But it's never like, maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's just my upbringing, maybe it's like whatever, but it feels like it's never the way it is portrayed. It is never the way it should be. The closest it's ever gotten has been with honestly certain partners. And even then, especially with partners where I was, I had to be around their families, which some of their families were awful, no offense. That really sucked. That sucked a lot. Because I didn't have any traditions of my own. I didn't have anything. When I cut off my family at 24, I cut them out entirely. So there's just a lot there that I don't know how to really parse or think about. Yeah. And I think the thing for me as a queer person is that, like, I think, as someone said earlier in chat, like, the loneliness of being a queer person near the holidays is really notable. Because in a lot of ways, unless you have a community, unless you have found family, there is a way in which we are kind of on the outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We are kind of separated.
And there's this weird thing where, like, Thanksgiving, it's a lot easier to find places to go. People host, big dinners with friends. Friends Thanksgiving are a much bigger thing. But when it comes to Christmas, everything kind of dies off. And that's really hard. Like, Christmas gets really lonely with that kind of thing. I wish more people do group Christmases. Or winter holidays. Whatever you want to call it, right? Like, Christmas as a concept is not my attachment. I just like that people get together and do things. I like doing stuff with people.
See, and this is what I miss. I had a dear friend named Jeff who we used to get together at his mom's house for get-togethers. And actually, those are probably my favorite holiday get-togethers of all time.
They hosted a big Hanukkah thing.
Yeah, they hosted Hanukkah and they hosted Thanksgivings.
Yeah.
And the Thanksgivings were fucking amazing. And because my friend Jeff is a professional chef. But on top of that, the Hanukkah one was really good because latkes are the shit. But that was the closest I ever helped because his family was incredibly welcoming and great, but it wasn't ever felt like I had to, like, play a part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like right now there is a very real... There's a very real discussion about what do we do as queer people? Do we make our own holidays? Do we try to co-opt them in a way where we create them for ourselves? I'm not sure what the answer to that is. I wanted to bring it up as just sort of a side of, how does this land for you? Right? Because for some people, this may not be an issue. If you have supportive parents and they're great, cool. But if you don't, there's a reason why me and Zena spent our Christmas day running a movie for the server. Mm-hmm. Because that was our celebration.
No, that's what I usually do, is just invite friends over who don't have a place to go or having a rough time with family or something like that, and just, have them over for funsies. Unfortunately, a lot of the people have kind of dropped off or lost their minds for various reasons. COVID. But
true.
Yeah, I think, and literally, like, people realize that, no, that's having people over like that does help me a lot. It does help me feel better, as well as, having them over makes me feel good. There's a lovely bit of nausea there. Sorry, Dizzy's big today. I think that just the thing that makes us feel better. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out our own traditions is really hard. That's a hard one. Because, like, just going, hey, this is our tradition now, like, just saying it doesn't really make it so. It doesn't really, like, have a whole lot of meaning. So, like, but the idea that you do this thing all the time, though, there's still kind of comfort in there. So I think, like, we really like cooking together, and yeah, we cook together throughout the year, but also just trying to figure out ways to make that a special thing for, like, holidays is really, really fun. We make some of, like, our bigger favorite meals, and we would take a bit more time. I really like that part.
Actually, really, side note about that, by the way, is so on Christmas Day, Zena was dealing with a lot of the same nausea they're dealing with now. And so what was hilarious was we were like, okay, we don't really think we can make, like, our big potato thing. We can't really make the big chicken thing, which we'll probably make sometime this week.
Mm-hmm.
But the joke of it is that instead Zena was like, we could make? I can make fucking tacos.
Chicken tacos.
And so we made chicken tacos for Christmas dinner. It was the shit.
Super good. Yeah.
Cooked up the flour tortillas. Zena had an almond one because they can't have the flour. Cooked them up, a little bit of butter. Just cooked them up so they were nice and, like, got some brown on them. Were really warm and tasty. Shredded chicken in there with a really nice spice. It was delicious. Taco Tismus, yes.
Yeah. So that was good.
But Yeah, maybe I just want people to think about that. So maybe in the comments below of this video when it comes out, people can start putting out their thoughts about how do you as a queer person deal with Christmas? How do you deal with the holidays? Do you make your own? Do you...
This could be Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, is around. Whatever holiday.
Yeah, Zena cooks all the time. Actually, Zena's taught me a bunch about cooking. And we watch cooking videos often together, so...
Yeah. No, cooking is one of my favorite things.
So...
Yeah.
But I think that's everything I got on this. Do you have anything you want to add to this idea?
No, I feel like that's a lot of it, yeah.
All right, guys. So we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.